Hello and welcome everybody. My name is Giovanni Martinez from Mind the Bridge. Thank you all for joining us today. We're going to be talking a little bit more about open innovation and how some great innovation leaders around the world, and specifically in the great Brazil, are doing and are advancing in such an interesting subject. In this agenda for today, we're going to be specifically talking a little bit more about how ICC Brasil and how global ICC are supporting the activities in innovation, but also we're going to be learning directly from the open innovation leaders at Banco Bradesco and InnovaBra, by Susano, but also from the innovation aspect at an international company, NL, through a panel. After this conversation, we're going to be learning a little bit more about the corporate startup stars and what it is and how it has become a global platform to promote the innovation and open innovation around the world. So now let's introduce our friend, Ms. Gabriella Dorlhiac, in order for her to talk a little bit more about the ICC Brasil.
Thank you, Giovanni. Hello, everyone. My name is Gabriella Dorlhiac. I'm the Executive Director for ICC Brazil. And I was really thrilled by the invitation from Mind the Bridge, who is a really important partner for ICC globally. From last year, when they came to us to talk about their really exciting project, their corporate awards. And it was really interesting to us because ICC globally has been working with innovation for a long time, and ICC Brazil has been really trying to give it a lot of focus in the past years. ICC works with international trade, and I think we can't really hope to improve trade, to grow trade, if we don't talk about innovation, if we don't talk about what can we do differently, what can we do better, what are new solutions to old problems, what are new products to things that we do every day. So this is really exciting for us. And I think that innovation is not only about technology, but it's also about inclusion. I think we should start looking at innovation as a way to bring new people into economic activity. So it's not only about a really sophisticated technology tool, but it's really about how do I think differently about one specific problem? How do I think differently about solving this challenge? And how do I bring different perspectives and different points of view to the table? And how do I get everybody participating on this? And this for us is really what innovation is about. So, and I think Brazilians, in a way, are very proud when we talk about innovation. In a way, we are very confident that we are a very innovative nation. And I think we are, because innovation, I think, comes from struggle. When you're faced with a lot of barriers, you don't have any other choice but to figure out how to overcome it. And unfortunately, Brazil has faced a lot of barriers. So we were very, very proud last year when we saw how many Brazilian companies had applied to the awards and how many Brazilian companies had actually been awarded some sort of recognition. So the three companies that we have here today to talk to us really showcase. We have electricity company, we have pulp and paper, we have financed sector company, and it really shows that across the board, Brazilian companies are really trying to figure out new ways of showing of solving challenges, old challenges. So I really want to thank Mind the Bridge for this very interesting award, and want to really incentivize everyone out there to keep innovating and to keep participating. And I want now to ask to introduce himself and what ICC has been doing globally, Gabriel Petrus, who used to sit in the chair that I sit now, not this one literally, former executive director for ICC Brasil, and now deputy director for global partnerships and development at ICC, Gabriel Petrus.
Thank you, Gabriella, my dear friend, and thanks everyone. Thanks, Mind the Bridge, for the opportunity, and hello everyone. Bom dia, boa tarde. It's a real pleasure to join you today. I think that's the first event with Brazil that I joined since I moved to Paris, where I work with the headquarters, the International Chambers HQ. And we're very thrilled about this new partnership we launched with Mind the Bridge. And we started, as Gabriella very well said, last year, recognizing Brazilian companies. And we're very happy that we had many companies from Brazil being recognized as global champions on open innovation. And I'll piggyback on something that Gabi said about inclusion, because I think we all know the importance of innovation. You are the experts, the companies that will speak today. But I'll say that especially now with the dire economic consequence of COVID in Brazil, we think innovation has a key role to play on readdressing economic growth in the country and creating new opportunities, especially for the youth. We have started dialogue with the OECD this week, actually, in which the ICC and the OECD will work together towards a global campaign on youth employability. And we want to mobilize corporates on that. And we know that a big part of that work will involve the relationship between corporates and startups and their supply chains, and how corporates can continuously support their supply chains and the startups that they are mentoring and incentivizing in order for us to ensure more economic opportunities, especially for the youth in Brazil. So this is totally aligned with this major goal of the ICC. We're a centennial institution that we just completed 100 years. As Gabby said, we work primarily on promoting open borders, open trade, and inclusive trade. And we know that we want to embrace now innovation. That's why we start to work in a very ambitious level globally and also in Brazil with this platform. And I would say also that this platform is supporting sectoral initiative that falls within the ICC Centers of Entrepreneurship. And we hope to launch very soon a hub in São Paulo with ICC Brazil and the Brazilian companies. We launched the first hub in Turkey. We're preparing now the second hub was launched in Beirut to work with the Middle East. Now we're launching 4 hubs in Africa, and in Latin America, Colombia, Brazil, and Argentina are our next hubs. So welcome everyone, and I'll give the floor now to my colleagues. Thank you.
Excellent. So now let's introduce Marco Marinucci, who is the CEO and Mind the Bridge, so he can introduce the panel.
Thank you, Giovanni. Obrigado, Renata. Obrigado, Gabriel and Gabriella. It's a real pleasure to be here today. I'm sitting here in Silicon Valley, but with the opportunity to give a glimpse of the world of open innovation in Brazil. So really excited to spend the next half an hour with you. Today I'll be the moderator of the panel with the 3 executives that represent a good chunk of innovative industries in Brazil, in particular as a participants of the 2020 edition of Corporate Startup Stars. So I'll introduce them momentarily. Before doing that, maybe a couple of words of what we do. Who are we? This is a little bit of a background about Mind the Bridge. We are an innovation advisory firm that got started. I founded in 2007. So we've been acting as one of the major operators today of what goes under the umbrella of open innovation. When we started, actually, open innovation didn't exist as a concept, was actually happening here in Silicon Valley, but it wasn't really such a strong topic in the industry. Today, we work really as a bridge between the verticals and industries across the board and the world of innovators. So we run really programs that match these two requirements. And just to give you some numbers, every year we scout and filter, we go deep in their business model of more than 5,000 startups. We deal with our partners are at least more than 100 corporates that we serve every year. Being an operator in this global world of innovation, we are very active also with all different actors in the areas of investments and transactions as well. We're vertical agnostic, meaning that we work in different industries, and that also becomes a great opportunity because typically the disruptive innovation in your specific industry is not coming most of the time from your competitor, is coming from somebody that is transversal to your business. And so things and best practices that you learn on one side become particularly interesting to be implemented in other industries. Our headquarters, as we said, are in San Francisco, where we run an innovation center. A little quiet these days, but we're planning and we're actually starting to see some movement. So pretty exciting to see back to normal life of the before pandemic. But we have offices in different parts of the world, and really our work is global, and our focus is global. So we deal typically with the global entity and corporations. As Gabriel was alluding, we have been working with the ICC for quite some time, and we have three main areas of joint activities. One of which is the one that we're discussing today, the Corporate Startup Stars. So we'll have more time to go into the details also for the current year. And in the second part of the presentation, we'll give some instructions how to participate to this award. We've also been supporting together what we call the Scale Up Summits as our quarterly events. Today is a mix between in live and on-site, online and on-site, where we bring together the community of innovators, both the executives of corporates and founders of the scale-ups, where we match the two areas. And most importantly, as Gabriel was mentioning, we started working together in the centers of entrepreneurship. So the opportunity of putting under the umbrella of a center of entrepreneurship a number of programs to promote innovation and entrepreneurship in a specific region. So those are the three main axes that we are jointly working with ICC. Now, let's get started and warm up now, and let's get the discussion flowing. I'm going to use some data here also when I call on stage our panelists, but for the people in the audience, all this data can be downloaded here from that page that you see here. This is a report that is the gathering of the learnings of last year, so in 2020, Corporate Startup Stars Award, that is part of a long questionnaires that participants fill up, and so we derive information from that. So some of the data and insights and number that are showing in the next few minutes are downloadable there for free. So here's the link. All right, so without further ado, let me introduce quickly our guest speakers today. We have the pleasure of having three executives of three very different industries. So I think it's going to be interesting also because you guys come from a very different perspective. So, women first, we're going to introduce real quick first Renata Talarico Petrovic from Bradesco. Welcome, Renata.
Thank you. Thank you all for the invitation. Pleasure to be here with you.
And then let's call all on stage so that we can do a quick introduction. Then we have Alvaro Andres Gomez from Suzano.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Marco. Thank you, Mind the Bridge and ICC for this opportunity to share more about open innovation.
Very good. And last but not least, I think sitting in Rome, if I'm correct, we have Antonio Camisecra from the NL Group. Hi, Antonio.
Good evening to everybody from Antonio from Rome. Thank you for the invitation.
Very good. So we will be discussing a few topics, and I'm going to use a few slides that are in the background just to to get the conversation started. So maybe just as a matter of introducing your world of reference, we're starting from Renata. Why don't you give a little bit of a quick introduction of what is your job, your daily role? And I guess Bradesco doesn't need to be introduced, but maybe just a quick introduction of the areas of innovation within Bradesco.
Hi, Marco. Hi, everybody. Yes, my responsibilities at Bradesco, they lie on open innovation. So I'm head of open innovation programs. And I'm also head of InnovaBra Habitat, which is we used to call it a space, but it's not a space anymore. It is a space, but not only. We have also a digital platform, which is we have an ecosystem of stakeholders, which are startups, large corporations, mentors, consultants that are this network to generate business around innovation, and also Bradesco is part of the initiative. I'm also responsible for the internal teams, the initiatives of innovation, open and internal innovation activities as well with the teams inside Bradesco. And I have other responsibilities like communications for InnovaBra and other activities, but concerning innovation, that's mainly my area of responsibility. InnovaBra is the ecosystem of innovation for Bradesco, and so it has initiatives of open internal innovation, culture programs. We have also a testing lab. We also have initiative for a corporate venture fund as well. So it's a lot of initiatives that we have time to discuss further.
Definitely. InnovaBra, definitely one of the models very visible in Brazil. So we'll definitely go more into details. Alvaro, how about you? A little bit of your background within Suzano.
Well, first of all, I was very happy to hear that ICC is going to Colombia, because I'm Colombian, I'm not Brazilian. I've been working here in Brazil for about 7 years. Nowadays, I'm responsible. I'm part of the digital transformation area at Suzano, responsible for all the open innovation programs. We have been working during the last years in two main pillars. Giving to the Suzano's teams a digital transformation through a more digital mindset, and also developing initiatives internally, connecting with the startups, or develop it by data science and agilists internally. So my role today is to structure a more fluid process in order to connect and have programs to accelerate this digital transformation at Suzano.
Very good. And continuing our very international panelist from Colombia. We're going to an Italian, but that has spent time in Brazil. Antonio.
Yes, indeed. I lived in Brazil for 3 years, some years ago now. I still have saudade of my time in Brazil. I am heading the distribution division of Enel after a very long career in renewable generation. So I'm jumping from one side to the other of the energy transition. And my experience in innovation, mainly in generation, but lately in distribution, is the following. The more you open and you more build an ecosystem of innovation around your needs and around your challenges, the more successful your organization becomes. Because innovating, it's a need, but it's also a purpose of any modern organization. Because the speed of a change that we are called to deliver in the energy transition is so fast. If you want to rely only on your internal capabilities, it will be impossible to keep up the pace. And in countries like Brazil, and I think we'll have a further time later to discuss this, we found a very fruitful ground, evidence of innovations happening at several levels, from the digital to the material, from material technologies to digital appliances and software applications. So I think the global experience we have when we cast it into ecosystem like the industrial Brazil and energy in Brazil, we get the best of the combination from a global view and a local implementation.
Yes, and we're going to talk about this internal versus external integration of forces. And by the way, for the audience out there, you can comment, ask questions. We're seeing here the streaming both on Facebook and YouTube, so feel free to do that. We'll see here that Paulo Miranda is texting as an example. All right, let's get started. First, I just want to give a little bit of insights of also how we have organized our activities of a corporate startup stars and the kind of measurement of effectiveness of activities in open innovation. And this is the division of quadrants that we've been using as a reference. And we're going to reference open innovation challengers or startup stars and trailblazers in the following few moments. But basically what we've done is that we believe that the two main areas for measuring effectiveness of open innovation activities are one, really at internal level, that has to deal with internal organizations, alignment of objectives, clarity of internal objectives and processes, versus the others that are what we call the open innovation actions, so activities that we're doing with the outside world. And so basically here in the quadrant, what we're showing is that when you're starting at the beginning, you are newcomers, and so you definitely are low in both of this area, and then you start moving specifically. If everything goes fine, try to align your activities from inside, so to have a better vision of what are the innovation strategy from inside. And so you become an open innovation challenger, and you start testing a few measures of activities with when it comes to what we call the external actions, until the time that you actually proficient in both, and so you become a corporate startup star. So the typical ideal process of somebody that is starting working in innovation, in open innovation, is really to go from the quadrants of a new innovation newcomer all the way to a challenger, and then you become a star. And sometimes actually there is a skip to the right. So rather than having a lot of internal alignment, you do a lot of testing, and so you become a trailblazer. So you test a number of actions without still having a very strong and well-developed internal process. So with that, we're going to see again some data and some numbers about what we call the corporate stars, startup stars, so entities that have matured that process, versus, for example, the challengers are entities that will be the future stars, but today they're still kind of testing. They have a defined strategy, and they're testing some of the measures. And here's the first, I think, data point that I would like to share with you. That you see on the left, and this is, I think, the same view that we'll have in the next few slides. On the left, we'll see numbers from corporate startup stars. On the right, we'll see the numbers from the next group over, what we call the Open Innovation Challengers. And basically here is the talking about the internal organization of the open innovation activities. Basically, you can see that the dedicated new structure, dedicated unit in the entities that have now today are considered the stars, is being created more than 5 years ago. While still in the challengers, you see that the time of having a fully dedicated unit is taking longer. And here, I guess that the message is open innovation structure becomes very effective once is recognized as a senior and strategic unit that is separate most of the time from the R&D, from the the IT systems in certain industries, and typically reporting to top management. So with that said, why don't we do a quick run around the virtual table here to see how is your internal structure for that? If you have a dedicated unit, fully dedicated unit, and who does that report to in terms of seniority? Renata, you want to start from Bradesco?
Yes, Marco, thank you. Yes, we do have a dedicated unit, which I am responsible for, which is both, our open innovation unit is both oriented to innovation that serves Bradesco, and also generating business for the Brazilian ecosystem, because we also serve corporations that are clients of Bradesco and want to join our ecosystem. We have about 80 corporations belonging to our open innovation unit, and 200 startups that are, let's say, members of this community. So this unit reports to the, let's say, the Department of Research and Innovation, which is where the innovation lies in the organization. And this whole department belongs to, reports to the CIO. In other words, is inside the technology, IT vertical in the organization. So that's how we're structured.
Where the I in this case is for information, chief information officer, right? Because there are certain company where the I actually stands for chief innovation company.
Yeah, we're not there yet, I'm afraid. Maybe we'll get there, but not yet. No, that's you're correct.
Good. Alvaro, your company is very, I think, heavy in research for what you do. So give us some insights on your structure.
Yeah, definitely. In our case, we have two, let's say, three main departments that are connected with open innovation. The first one, the one that it is more related with research and development, looking for applications or new usages of our products, are more an internal innovation. However, they also have a connection with their startups. And there are another two areas, the new business development and the digital transformation, that also have this connection with the external ecosystem. Nowadays, we are developing, we can say that we have a specific, a dedicated open innovation area, which is with me and my team, and we have synergies working through these three main areas, and we are connected directly with the seaboard through our director of new businesses and digital. And also we have our director of innovation. So it is a more let's say robust structure, but we are developing models and tools in order to be apply open innovation in each kind of situations.
Good. Antonio, NL actually does have a chief innovation officer, which is also at the head of a sustainability. So describe a little bit of the sophisticated structure of the innovation at NL when it goes also with the connection with the different business units.
Yes, NL is a very large group, vertically integrated utility. So we do have a Chief Innovation Officer, which actually is also the Chief Sustainability Officer. And this function in NL is called innovability, which is the, let's say, the union of two words, innovation and sustainability. We like to say that sustainability is the goal, innovation is the tool. And then there is very small team under this innovation, let's say, and sustainability, so the innovability function, because then the vast majority of resources are allocated into the divisions, so say distributions, generation, markets, NLX, the others. So we share the responsibility as head of division with the innovability, the head of innovability of the, let's say, big amount of resources that are dedicated to sustainability and innovation. Between innovation and sustainability, and I would add also sharing with engineering, we have a specific team of people that are in charge of circularity, which is exactly in between innovation and sustainability, because for circularity, we need, of course, the view of sustainability, but also whatever is needed in innovation for new materials or new processes to re-input materials into our processes. So the structure is quite complex, but there is, let's say, a clear allocation of resources in each division to be more specific and innovative, let's say, very close to the business needs. But there is a very important point, I think, for large corporations like our, we have communities, innovation communities, which are the structured, not hierarchical organization, in which there is no head, no leader, but just participants for specific topics. Everybody can apply to enter in those communities. For example, say the robotics, say the drones, or I'm just picking some example. Now we have formed a community for quantum computing. We have a community for blockchain. We have a community for new materials. And everybody in NL can enter, join the community, contribute in the discussion of whatever particular aspect we want to discuss. And this is the best way to share project among divisions, just to avoid to have innovation silos among generation, distribution, or the other business of NL. So it's a quite, let's say, structured and unstructured at the same time kind of organization. And Ernesto Chora, which is our innovation manager, is the, let's say, the emperor of all these big things.
The creative mind behind, yes.
The creative mind, yeah. Yes. It's a challenge between me and him, who is the most creative one. He wins all the time.
Very good. So let's go into nitty-gritty here. I'm going to show some models here. This is one of the models that we use to break down some of the actions in open innovation. Obviously, it's not all in there, but I think it can help part of the discussion to unfold. And so the different actions that can be taken in these large activities of dealing with the rest of innovators around the world can take different shapes and forms. Can be exposure, so through an outpost and antenna, can be programs of intrapreneurship that I want to touch upon, can be through innovation labs, that can be venture studios or venture builders, or can be the venture client model. So what it goes under the detailed integration of startup solutions within the world of the different business units and the procurement world of large corporates. or can take the shapes of investments with a CVC, a corporate venture capital, or off-balance investment, and or acquisitions. So a lot of more mature companies also tend to import innovation. Actually, here in Silicon Valley happens all the time. It's actually the way to accelerate innovation is through the quintessential integration that is the acquisition. So those are some models that we'll use. We're not going to have time to cover all of them, but the reason why you three here have been invited is because your company has been one of the awarded companies in one of these elements. So I want specifically to dive a little deeper in some subsets, in particular the ones where you guys, each of you has been awarded as the kind of the best performer. And I will start here with the idea of building innovation labs and venture builder. Again, some data. This is from last year. It basically is the world of what used to be called the startup accelerators that is run inside is becoming more complex, and in fact is taking different shapes and forms into innovation labs. Or integration with other third parties. So the data that we're seeing here is basically that compared even to the year before, we see less and less corporates, at least the corporate startup stars, so the ones that are more advanced, that do run their own internal accelerators. Most of the time, the integration with third parties accelerators is becoming more common. And here is a trend that you see that the innovation challengers are kind of a following, but is taking time. So and maybe here, this is for Bradesco. Do you want to give a quick introduction of how today you manage your kind of acceleration of startups internally and through third parties?
Yes, so we have, as I said, it's like a set of programs and to cover all disciplines of corporate innovation, and these initiatives are the Open Innovation Unit, which is called Inovabra Habitat. We also have a test lab, which is everything we see of potential for Bradesco. Then we can go to the lab and test and construct a business case and construct a proof of concept, and then experiment, test, and if succeed, then it starts the integration for the initiative itself. We also have a corporate venture fund, which is works having synergies with everything we do. So for the high potential partnerships, the corporate venture fund, obviously, it's like an opportunity to also invest on those startups. And they also bring us a lot of opportunities from their deal flows. So they also present to us some interesting opportunities. We have a unit also that looks outside of Brazil, which sits in New York. It's a partner lab, partner innovation lab, which for us is a radar of what's happening internationally, and also screens out opportunities for areas for it's only financial services opportunities, of course, and presents to us opportunities. We at this moment we did not develop a venture builder yet, but maybe it's one of the even one of the feedbacks of the research, and maybe we'll have a look at this program later. But basically, our funnel is from open innovation, scouting, screening of opportunities, and then constructing a case. We always have a sponsor in the business area which is interested in the case. because we as an innovation unit, we do not innovate. We're just a facilitator for all the other areas to innovate. That's how we are kind of innovation as a service. That's how we are position. That's how we position ourselves. We facilitate for other areas, for the business areas, their challenges, and they sponsor the innovation activities. And when the experimentation succeeds, then we start a partnership with a startup, potentially an investment, potentially buying. So it's
So the full range.
Well, except for the venture builder.
For the venture builder, unfortunately we don't have time to discuss. We have several events on how this is progressing, because it's definitely the shape of the day of the year. We're working in several projects because it's definitely something that I think is growing. So one of the thing that will be counting for this current awards, the 2021, is more of getting best practices on venture building, because it's definitely something that we see growing. All right, let's move fast because time flies when you're having fun. And the next topic I want to address real quick is on the culture of entrepreneurship. We know for sure that companies are successful when there is a strong buy-in of the culture of entrepreneurship, and it takes different shapes and forms. I think all of you here definitely are coming from a company where this is being pursued. So there is definitely an encouraging approach to be intrapreneurs, so entrepreneurs inside the company. Whereas in the challenger, you still see that there are a few companies that they think there's some friction to that. Susano, Alvaro, Susano has been awarded last year for the Internal Innovation Award. So maybe why don't you share some insights of how you are building this culture of innovation from within?
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the most important part that we are working during the last 2 years. At the digital transformation area, we believe in 3 pillars. The first one, we want to train and develop capabilities for everybody be able to innovate. The other one is to have challenges that connects directly with the strategy, have impact at the corporation. And the third one is to have a very smooth and simple connection in order to accelerate the process. So we have been working into develop a digital academy. I usually joke with my team, it is like an MBI, Master in Business Innovation. We are training our teams in order to know how to connect with the startups, how to define a good innovation case, how to identify more looking for the pain point, not looking too much for the solution, in order to accelerate the testing process, the proof of concept process, and then have more information and knowledge about if that solution can or not solve that challenge. So that one, it's one of our most important case. Nowadays we have more than 40 projects rolling through this approach, and it is very interesting for the Susano's teams, because it gives them toolkits, knowledge, approach to the innovation ecosystem. It is not only the open innovation area who is innovating. It is the whole company. That's the main focus, the vision in the future.
Very good. Let me bring Enel in a mix here, and I'm gonna probably was looking at the time here. We'll have some time for questions, but considering that I'm asking questions, probably can use those. Enel has been always on the top of those, at least at the Corporate Startup Stars Awards. Last year, 2020, you were the winner of the venture model, the venture client, among other different things. And one of the things that is pretty clear in your model is the fact that you're very global in your presence, that goes beyond the typical internet hubs of Silicon Valley and Israel that obviously also there. And so those are, again, start looking at a data and statistics from last year, is that the corporate startup stars tend to have antennas that are more and more local, and it's not just the, as I said before, just the most known hubs, but there are sub-hubs that are starting becoming particularly interesting now today when you need to filter quality and quantity. So maybe, Antonio, the experience of Enel in their ability to filter and integrate solution from every single corner of the world.
Yes, you're right. Of course, you must be in those places that you have mentioned, the Silicon Valley and the other, let's say, strong innovation culture. But at the same time, you want to build on the some more local expertise or some more local innovation capabilities for several reasons, including the possibility to get financing. But in general, we have found that in any country, you can find fruitful cooperations for innovation. So we have built up in several years. It not take one day to do it. More than 10 innovation hubs. So of course we're in San Francisco, in Boston, in Tel Aviv, in Madrid. Of course we're in Italy, in Milano, in Pisa, Catania, but we are also in Moscow, in Sao Paulo, of course, in Santiago de Chile, and we are planning to open more. But then, other than in those big innovation hubs, we work in a network of 22 laboratories that are spread in all the countries where we are present, and also in the other countries from where we source components, materials, or where we see that there is a young generation of researchers and developers that may be interesting for us to, let's say, gather around our open innovation ecosystem. So we have, since 2015, maybe collaborated, analyzed it for sure, for more than 10,000 startups, and we have initiated collaboration for with more than 350 partners. Some of them have been scaled up and growth to the level of, let's say, stable companies delivering their solutions to us and to the market. So I think it was good for us, for sure, because we could multiply our effort by a number of hundreds of times, but also for them because they became strong and, let's say, financially sustainable to then follow their journey autonomously in the market. It, I think, was the exchange that we promised at the beginning, and I think we delivered along the journey. So you come in our ecosystem, you help us to win our challenge, and then you become, let's say, a prosperous, hopefully prosperous company that will be capable to work on your own legs.
And sustainable in growth. Yes. And that takes me to the last point here on the numbers. This is a number game. And again, if you want to show real quick these statistics from last year, to get quality, you need to also get quantity. And this is some numbers of the funnel. I think Antonio just went through what Enel has been doing. You're talking about, tens of thousands of startups. You're probably in that range. You're probably on the top. But if you see left versus right, left is the corporate startup stars. You're looking at from 1,000 to 2,500 screened startups per year that then become 250 when you're going a little deeper. That produce an average of 50 POCs, that produce an average of 20 long-term collaboration. This is from the best performers of the whole group in the world. And I think Enel is definitely on top of those. Just to finish, maybe Renata, Alvaro, you want to give some of your numbers just to give a sense of also how much work and hands on deck is needed to have a quality outcome.
Shall I start?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we end up. You see, we started this journey a long time ago. We're talking about at least 8 years where we started. So if we put it all together, yes, we probably get to the numbers like 8,000, 9,000 startups screened and looked at. And from those, yeah, obviously the funnel gets really smaller. We've done about 200 proofs of concept, and from that, I'd say half of that really became like partnerships and fruitful initiatives. But I must say, we are working more not only on volumes of startups these days, but a more targeted approach. So I believe that these numbers, maybe now that the whole company is more mature, maybe we are reducing. We know more what to look for. We are more focused on aligning strategy to the scouting, and so maybe I see things changing a bit in terms of volume of scouting and more going for more quality and targeted approach. So that's how I see it.
And I think that takes me to, and I'll call Alvaro in a second, but to the last point here, that is the way to measure success is all obviously evolving over time also within companies. There's also another slide that I'm not going to show, but is the KPIs that top management is looking to filter outcomes and measure the impact of our open innovation activities is evolving over time. So now we're looking at a more sophisticated ways to measure the impact that needs to, at the end of the day, have an impact of the top line and the bottom line of the company in general. Alvaro, you got the last words here.
Okay, now I just want to mention that it is very interesting, the different approaches. Something that I was thinking is to have quality, we need to have quantity. Yes, that's really true. We are developing at Suzano a more structured process in order to be able to open this capability to the whole areas, to structure communities, to have a more active presence in the at the core business, and also looking for new avenues of new businesses. So if I can say all of those tools and all of those processes will help to improve the numbers. Nowadays, we have more than 1,000 startups scouted during a year, probably more than 20 or 30 POCs running at the same time. But definitely, 3, 4, 5 of them will change and impact more deeply our business. That's the way it works.
Sounds good. And we're out of time. We could have gone much longer, but we need to be respectful with the initial plan. So Renata, Alvaro, Antonio, thank you very much for your input. Thanks for your leadership and the continuing success of your activities with your company. We'll see you later. All right, I think it's time to conclude, and the last few minutes are about the 2021 Corporate Startup Stars Awards, and so I'll hand it over to Giovanni here.
Thank you, Marco, and thank you to all the panelists. Indeed, we saw a lot of information regarding open innovation, but now let's talk a little bit more about how can we put this into a platform, a global platform, for these corporations to maximize these opportunities that they've started building and actually continue increasing the availability of those technologies later on. So together between Mind the Bridge and the International Chamber of Commerce, we have been developing over the past years what we call the Corporate Startup Stars, which is a global award that does that, in fact, give a platform to these corporations, global corporations, in order for them to showcase their open innovation capabilities. So let's see quickly a video that shows how the 2020 edition went.
Good evening from San Francisco, California.
Hi Marco, hi everybody, and welcome to Europe.
We couldn't be more humbled to host such a global celebration of the best in class.
Hey guys, how are you? We want these next levels of entrepreneurs to be the next generation of business people, and we want them to find their home with the ICC as they look for their new opportunities in the world.
I'm really happy to have the opportunity to take the floor in front of you today and to open that corporate startup stars award today. We have to lay the emphasis on the example of success in the collaboration and the cooperation between the big corporates and the startups.
Hello everybody, hello world. We have a global jury that really represents excellence and diversity.
So we decided to ask some heads of innovation of some of the larger corporates to help us encapsulate the full meaning of open innovation.
Building something new together with a shared purpose.
Motto for our company is Invented for Life.
For me, open innovation is outside-in thinking, collaboration, and win-win outcomes.
We have different categories that we use to categorize open innovation, and we will use tonight to award the most interesting companies.
All I can say is these mid-cap stars are going to be all in the FTSE and the Fortune 500 very soon because they're doing such great work in innovation.
Let's start on what we call the 25 Open Innovation Challengers.
And now we are going to see what are the 2020 corporate startup stars. Now, the top 3.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks to everybody. I hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you next year.
Excellent. So as you saw, global corporations showcasing their open innovation capabilities and getting awarded for their hard work throughout the year. So as you can see, we have different categories that go specifically to the different strongholds, as we discussed with Marco and the panelists, and a bit more tailored into their specific activities. We can see some regional awards, the Open Innovation Challengers, Asia, Latin America, Africa, and so on. But here you can also see that South American companies were doing great, did an amazing job last year in the 2020 edition, in which Banco Bradesco, Suzano really had a great platform for them to showcase their abilities, but also Eno, in which was one of the top 25 companies in the world. So if we continue, we can see what we call the Open Innovation Assessment, meaning what are the specific aspects that are taken into consideration through this award process. And we focus on 2 main areas, both internal and external innovation activities. The internal, which focuses into what are the internal structures of the company, how are they comfortable into promoting innovation, what's the culture, but also the external of how many outposts do they have, what is the exposure that they're getting regarding the outside innovation world. And we put that together into one same score that provides this ranking and also gives these companies insights on how they can actually keep on improving in the innovation space. So if we continue, we can actually see that the process for the award itself takes into consideration all these information factors. So the headcount, growth, profitability, but also, as I mentioned, the innovation activities. So what's the process? The process is simple. It's an application that we have a deadline of June 20th, in which companies put inside those specific key aspects, and the judges that were selected from different areas in the world and are experts in innovation are able to actually bring up this corporate startup stars list and provide this recommendation. So we invite you all to participate. If you feel your company has been developing in the innovation space and you would like to showcase that, but also you're a company that's in the early steps of what innovation is, we invite you to come join us be part of this amazing progress that we have seen from other companies that have been participating, and join companies such as Bradesco, Suzano, and Enel into showcasing globally that they are innovation leaders. So feel free to reach out to us. We're going to be attaching our email as well, further information about Mind the Bridge, so that you can also send us any questions that you may have and join us in our next summit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Giovanni. Thank you all for spending this hour with us. It was truly a very interesting conversation. As you can see, there's so much still to be done. There's still lots of challenges, but it is still very exhilarating to see how much these companies are doing, obviously not only in Brazil. As Giovanni said, we really encourage you all to apply, and hopefully we'll see more and more of you participating in these very glamorous awards. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.